To the surprise of nobody, we are going to spend a lot of today's show on the Brandon Aiyuk saga. So give me your one-word reaction to all of the Brandon Aiyuk trade drama, chaos, which might be a one word as well. Sound off for me in the comments of today's show. So if you have not been paying attention, oh boy, are you in for a doozy of a storyline here. I think we are officially at peak chaos, off the rails, whatever you want to call it, situationship for Brandon Aiyuk here. So Adam Schefter has reported the Niners gave Aiyuk permission to negotiate a new contract with a couple of teams. And at this point, a trade seems far more likely than an extension. The question is, to what team? What does the contract look like to an extent? And also, what is the trade package? And the undercurrent storyline beyond the actual player involved is you've got big media, ESPN, NFL Network, etc., against Pretty Ricky, a.k.a. the People's Insider. The biggest part of which here is that Ricky has been saying for about 24-ish hours now, give or take, the Steelers are going to end up landing him. Up until 2 hours ago, give or take, depending on when you're watching, the Steelers were not in it, according to major NFL media. They were out. Well, now they're back in all of a sudden, which would seemingly be a big point in favor of Pretty Ricky. There have been 4 teams that have most heavily been linked in the Brandon Aiyuk trade situation. And some of the behind-the-scenes info makes it sound like Ricky had the same teams like a day early, and then big media kind of got caught up to them, and now they're still playing catch-up. But we have to see how this all eventually gets sorted out. The Browns have been heavily linked. There's alleged trade offers out there. That was the initial, I think, surprise. The Patriots are involved here as well. They were out, then they're back in. Maybe they were never actually out in the first place. The Pittsburgh Steelers on this list. And the team I want to mention, but I don't think has any real chance of getting this one done, is the Washington Commanders. We will go in depth on all 4 teams, what seemingly is going on here. I'll offer some theories as well. But assuming he does get dealt, who will end up trading for Brandon Aiyuk? B for the Browns, C for the Commanders, S for the Steelers, or P for the Patriots? It is the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Let's go in the order of the teams that were kind of sort of linked in the order. The Browns, they've clearly been involved here, which I think was a surprise to some, but would also has now been verified by their outlets out there. And they at least were willing to be aggressive to pay Brandon Aiyuk. The trade idea that I think, if were to go down, would probably be about Amari Cooper and a second-round pick. That's been mentioned by other outlets, too, that Cooper was going to be involved as part of this trade. The Browns have declined public comment because, of course, what else are they going to do? Like, you kind of have to not mention that publicly. The Browns may or may not be in it because, as we'll get into, Brandon Aiyuk does not have a no-trade clause, but if he's not going to sign an extension with you, good luck trading for him. The Patriots, meanwhile, I think they might be in need of Brandon Aiyuk the most, and they made a big offer for Calvin Ridley. They have tried to acquire options. I think they would be willing to offer the most money and the most in a trade to San Francisco. It could look like Kendrick Bourne, a second-round pick, and potentially Matthew Judon as well, going to San Francisco, with Aiyuk, of course, going to New England. But Aiyuk has a lot of power here. He has a lot of control because you don't just have to get the Niners to say yes to you in a potential trade. You also have to get Aiyuk to say yes to you with a contract extension. And maybe there's 1 or 2 spots in particular he would rather go to. Of course, this is all theory at this point because it's not official yet by any means. Although I think we are trending towards that happening in the not-too-distant future. We'll talk about the money angle here in just a minute because it is a complicated trade situation with having to pay a player and give up a big asset for him. But if you want to save money buying tickets to your next big event, make sure you are using Game Time. You want to go to an MLB game in the summer, maybe a later one or one where it's a little bit shadier so it's not quite as hot looking at you, the South. It can get a little hot down there. Game Time is the place to go for last-minute tickets. I used Game Time for a Reds game recently. They lost, but But it was the Blake Snell no-hitter, which was very cool to see in person. And I won't lie to you, I was cheering for Blake Snell to do the no-hitter because I wanted to be able to see one in person. And tickets were, by the way, the all-in price showed me it was like $15 a ticket. It's a fantastic deal for 5 of us to go. So download the Game Time app over at gametime.co. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Never forget that. But again, create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. The alleged reporting previously had been the Niners were offering about $26 million a year for Brandon Aiyuk, and he wanted more like 30, and maybe even a team was willing to go above 30 as part of a trade to help convince him that they want to come there, because if you're doing 30 versus 32, or you're giving up so much, does $2 million per year really end up impacting you in terms of like being the straw that breaks the camel's back? The guaranteed money might be more complicated, frankly. $84 million A.J. Brown versus $110 million for Justin Jefferson as the top end of the market. Could a team offer higher guarantees and a little bit less APY or vice versa? Who knows? Aiyuk was a 1,000-yard receiver in 2022 and was even better in 2023. He has steadily gotten better. He is an elite route runner. He's dangerous after the catch, and he doesn't drop that many passes. Those three normally make a pretty damn good wide receiver. I believe that Brandon Aiyuk is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Where he falls is certainly up for debate, but I would put him in the top 10. So let me know in the comments, where would you rank Brandon Aiyuk among NFL wideouts? I don't think he's 1. He ain't like 17, though, either. So where do you rank him? Let me know in the comments. So this is my theory on Brandon Aiyuk. I think that he wants to be a Steeler. But the trade offer from Pittsburgh hasn't necessarily been strong enough to get San Francisco to say yes. And if we want to go with the theory of the Pretty Ricky was right all along, it was going to be Pittsburgh. If I were the 49ers and I were trying to get a bigger offer from the Steelers, you know what I would do? I would leak stuff like the Browns and Patriots are very close to a trade. That's what I would do if I were in charge of an NFL organization. That's all theory. It's all speculation, to be clear. The occasional behind-the-scenes stuff, but I make sense, right? At least a little bit, no? I also would be remiss to not mention the Commanders here. I think Brandon Aiyuk would love to play for Washington and his old teammate Jaden Daniels. I have my doubts that the Commanders actually want to pay him and pay the cost for it, because they have Terry McLaurin. They spent a first-round pick on Jahan Dotson. They've spent top 100-ish picks on McCaffrey, on Diami Brown. I actually don't think receivers is a huge need for them. They probably need better offensive line play. So for the best NFL coverage here on YouTube, subscribe. It's free. There's no subscriptions, nothing like that. You just have free videos on YouTube. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/chatsportstv. All right, Justin Simmons is still unsigned as the NFL preseason starts to get underway. Now, I am still shocked that Simmons has not signed anywhere. I really thought he would have a destination by now, because I still think he is a good football player. I think he is an impactful football player. I think he'd still contribute to an NFL team, make a splash, make plays, be a dynamic, option for NFL organizations. So I think it's weird, and we're kind of into maybe there's something more I don't know that's going on here about Simmons. At some point, I assume still, he's going to sign. So where will that be? Get your predictions in for me in the comments of this video. Where do you think Justin Simmons ends up signing this offseason? Or I guess now preseason, technically speaking. Couple updates, reports, theories I want to mention here. A to Z Sports saying the Colts and Justin Simmons have recently touched base. I think Indy needs them. I think they're in bad shape at safety for a team that has playoff hopes. I think they should make a move there. The Eagles have long been linked. We'll see if that ends up going down. Titans have signed Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. They were linked at the start of free agency. Maybe we can cross them out. Sounds like Houston is not interested per Aaron Wilson. And Denver's now back in the hypothetical running since they cut Caden Stearns. I think that's probably because they knew he wasn't going to make the roster and tried to help him out a little bit. I don't think it's because they're going to bring back Simmons. Indy would make the most sense to me.